Dirt roads, where do they lead? Soybeans, cattle, corn, and wheat. Farm to farm, past fields and dreams, telling the stories of the folks in between.
This journey is off to an exciting start. While biking along country roads in West Point, Indiana, I saw something that I had never seen before. Across the street from a field of corn stood thousands of feet of what appeared to be telephone poles, from whose wires hung a curious crop. I stopped to meet their owner.
My name is Jesse Andrew. I'm a hop farmer.
Jesse walked me through his hop yard and helped me understand just what we were looking at.
They grow vertically, and then once they're done growing vertically, once they get to the top of whatever they're growing up, they start growing laterally, and they put out side arms. And the side arms are where all the cones grow. They're a large plant. There's a lot of surface area there. There's a lot of places for things to go wrong. Scouting is crucial. I can't tell you how many hours I've just spent out here walking, and forget that I'm even scouting, and just kind of looking around and finding interesting bugs and you know, trying to figure out why these weeds are growing and why these aren't. That's how you catch things before they become, you know, before they hit a threshold, before they actually affect your yield. Typically we look to get a pound per plant of dried hops. We go out, we cut them down, take them to the harvester, feed them through, and basically it strips all the binds, strips all the cones off, separates them from the leaves and the stems. Then we take them, put them in the dryer, dry them down to about 8% moisture. You know, anything higher than that, you risk mold developing. Once they are dried down to around 8%, we take them out, let them cool condition, and then we put them in the hammer mill, which is an enclosed weed whacker on steroids that grinds everything up into a little bit bigger than a powder. And then we put it through a pellet mill, which punches it down into pellets, which look like fish food. And what that does is it minimizes its storing space, and it also helps preserve, it blocks out the air. You know that there's going to be a brewer that's real happy with the product that we're producing. This time of year, the busy times where you're working, you know, 12 hours minimum, usually 16, just to get everything done and right. The winter time, we're brewing beer. You know, we're, I guess, reaping the benefits of what we do. I'm trying to build this from the ground up so that we can get more life put back into the family farm, because it's kind of slowed down over the last, you know, 20 years or so. And then hopefully this will be something that my kids want to get into. Especially they like picking. They like going out when we're harvesting and picking up hops off the ground and throwing them into a bucket. When they're out here, they like running around a little bit, but they're kids. You know, they get over it pretty quickly. So bring your kid to work day typically doesn't go over too well.
Just wait till they're 21.
Yeah.
One of Jesse's hop farmers explained that all their plants are like children.
I'm Chike O'Keefer, and I'm a hops farmer. Now the hops will naturally grow clockwise up the vines. They go around looking for the sun, but sometimes they'll get lost. So the training process is kind of my funnest part. You're making sure that they're growing up the vine properly, but it's almost like a dance. It's a delicate process, and so it's better to do it with a little bit of dance and having music playing. So it just kind of helps with that fluid movement. There's a bobbing and weaving and turning, and there's a rhythm to it. You're teaching your little daughter to dance. She's stepping on your shoes. You're showing her the moves. So when they're little, when they're like this tall, they kind of look like a little triangle, so to speak. It almost looks like a little girl with a dress on, you know, and she gets to grow up to be in a nice, big, beautiful dress.
While today hops stretched to the sky, the future of Pines Farm was not always certain.
This farm has been in our family since 1840. Somebody in our family throughout that time has been farming. And growing up, that was my dad, but then he got a job in the city and was working, doing farming on his spare time. It was kind of hard to keep up. Got out of farming. The land went to cash, you know, we started cash renting all the tillable land. Growing up, I always came out here. My grandmother lived out here when I was real young. I lived the house just half mile down the road, the one that my wife and I own now and live in. We'd always come down here and see my grandparents. When I was old enough, I'd be out here mowing the grass on the weekends. You know, that's pretty much how I made money, middle school, high school, and I hated it. You know, I didn't look forward to it. Time by myself mowing the grass. Didn't kind of realize how beautiful it was and how lucky I was to actually have it. Fast forward, I joined the military after September 11th, deployment to Iraq, came back home, got a degree in economics, ended up working in a cubicle as a financial analyst for a year, and I freaking hated every minute of it. It just, I couldn't stand it. I'm not made to be in an office. You know, when I was in the Army, I was in the infantry. We're out in the wood line, you know, we're outside getting dirty. My sister at the time was working for the Small Business Administration, and she'd worked with a lot of breweries, and like one thing that always came up when she would talk to these brewers was hops. So there was a hop shortage, and we'd always talked about what to do with the farm. You know, and you look around, things are falling apart. You know, is there something we could do to kind of change that? She had the idea of why don't we grow some hops? And at first I thought she was crazy. But then I started doing a little bit of market research, and I thought, okay, let's go ahead and give it a shot. You know, what could go wrong? Really, a bunch of things. We put in a half-acre of hops, and I was working full-time, had a kid, another one on the way, and I was spending all of my free time up here. And usually in your first year, you know, they always say don't expect more crops. Usually you don't get one. Well, we did. It was a struggle, messed a lot of things up, but we still came out ahead. You know, we still actually had a crop. So we expanded, put 2.5 more acres in. Brewers here caught on to what we were doing, and they were all on board. And now there are 3 more brew pubs and brewing companies popping up in Lafayette, West Lafayette. By the end of the year, there'll be 3 more. So it's starting to take off. It all comes full circle because really it's all about family. You know, why am I doing this? Well, trying to take the family farm and make it productive again so that when I hand it down to my kids, there's something there.
Some crops are just meant to be drunk.
Hydration on the road is important.
We have an early ride tomorrow, though.
Should probably get some sleep.
And these aren't going to help. Thanks for riding with us.
And see you in the fields ahead.